Have you seen this? If you didn't like Billy Friedkin's Sorcerer, maybe go easier on it after this.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
Hey, you know what, actually? I think that's a very good capsule, because I also did not like Sorcerer, and I think I might be easier on it after having watched this movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
This is... The unfortunate thing is... Jen, do you want to introduce Mike and everything?
Sure. She's here. She's queer. She's bitter Corella. Thanks for coming along, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be here on Have You Seen This, the only podcast on the internet about obscure, forgotten, and misbegotten movies.
That's great.
That's right, Mike.
I appreciate you advertising a show people are currently listening to.
Well, this is a free episode, so also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Have You Seen This.
Patreon, tell me more.
Well, $5 a month not only gets you 2 extra episodes a month, but access to our Discord, where I promise I'll post those GIFs I made of Demi Moore coming down the slide in Nothing But Trouble and flopping in the ground and then hitching her boobs up.
That's the best part of the whole movie.
That's a value add right there.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And, I mean, it's tough to pick the best part of that movie.
Oh, yes. Well,
are we going to review Nothing But Trouble a third time? Or would we like to...
We might as well.
Let's do. What I like on Nothing But Trouble is it's a movie, a very interesting movie, where interesting things happen on the screen.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I see what you're getting at. Now,
Things certainly happen in it, and interesting is a way of describing it. But today we are talking about William Friedkin in The Wasteland. He just passed away this year, and I was very sad for a minute until I remembered that, he had a good run. He was in his 80s, and also he was kind of an asshole, which might explain
an
this movie.
A-list director, you don't say.
Yeah, it might explain this movie, but we will get to that.
And, of course, since this nominally counts as folk horror, it being a movie that was made, we, of course, had to have Bitter Corella on to talk about that, our resident expert.
Right. Well, I
Yes.
like having Mike in reserve in case Tim really loathes the movie, which is, 75-80% of the time.
And I think
I was right to do so.
Yeah, that was well considered. I'm going to take off my headphones right now, so you guys just finish without me.
Okay, see you later. Tim's going to dive into a big Rubbermaid container filled with Legos.
So, Tim,
insane.
I'm taking it you did not like this movie.
Once I had something else to do while the movie was on, it got a little better. But I realized that I sat down and watched it, and about 20 minutes in, I realized I just stopped paying attention to it. I wasn't watching this fucking movie, after the first third of it. And then it's like, oh, this is going to be a tough episode.
Well, now having seen it twice, I will say that on a second watch, I was like, oh, this is real stupid.
How were you on the first watch?
The first watch,
She loved it, which is what's really...
yeah, I thought I
Wow.
was watching To Live and Die in L.A., and then it turned out I was actually watching To Live and Die in L.A., and I accidentally gave this 5 stars. No, the thing about this movie is that most people hated it, including Roger Ebert, who I think maybe included it in one of his... I don't know if he included it in I hated this movie, but it was on the list of the movies he hated the most from 1990, which, fair. But
Really?
when you get a pitch for a movie like that, you're like, okay, well, this is going to be a real big pile of shit. And then when you see it, it's reasonably competently made, if a little silly, you're just like, okay, well, it's not that fucking bad. But it doesn't hold up when you revisit it. That's my take in a nutshell.
God, I'm actually I think it's kind of weird that Roger Ebert would work up that much emotion about this movie, unless 1990 was a very slow year for bad movies, because this movie is not good, but it's really just kind of dull. I thought it didn't like. I watched and I was like, yeah, there's nothing really bad about it. It's just there's no there.
Yeah,
you know?
Yes.
not knowing Ebert's reasons for it, I would speculate, similar to Mike here, is that what I think he's most offended by is that it isn't even a disaster. It's just boring. It's a complete waste of time. So I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Well, and let's also not forget that Ebert really didn't vibe with horror a lot of the time.
That's
The
true.
closer you get to splatter or slasher films, I think the less he liked it. But the wrinkle here is that this is a William Friedkin movie, and any Friedkin movie is going to be compared to one of the most popular movies of all time, also directed by Friedkin, The Exorcist.
Yeah, why couldn't
Which-
you direct a movie like that guy?
Yeah, why couldn't Friedkin direct a movie like Friedkin? That is a
on
fair
Friedkin,
question.
yeah.
It is instructive that in his memoirs, this is one of two movies that Friedkin does not mention once. This and Deal of the Century, starring Chevy Chase and Sigourney Weaver. They're listed in his filmography at the back of the book. He has not word one about the production or anything having to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, this movie it does feel like, hey, it's a paycheck.
That fits with
you
how
know?
forgettable it is, yeah.
That may have been the case,
I am
but this is what's weird to me about it. Apparently, this was based on a novel by a guy called Dan Greenberg called The Nanny. Unfortunately, not the story of a nanny
Fran
from
Drescher,
Flushing,
yeah.
Queens.
Oh, that would have been great.
Meaning a sexy, rich British guy with 3 adorable children.
That's so mismatched. That's hilarious. I love it already.
It was a novel about a psychopathic nanny who kidnaps children, but it was originally supposed to go to Sam Raimi and was a little more tongue in cheek. And then
I could see that because Sam Raimi
yeah.
has experience with tree abuse.
Oh yeah, it's
So-
not even as bad as it gets in the first Evil Dead.
Right.
But Raimi stepped away to do Darkman, which, like not a lateral move.
Hey, Sam Raimi was first on the Liam Neeson action hero train, so you got to give him credit for that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, before he was punching wolves, he was Darkman.
Yeah, nobody would have thought, but yeah, okay. Well, good observation, Tim. You can take another break while we talk about
Thank
The Guardian.
you.
So Raimi stepped away, and this went to Friedkin, and under Friedkin's guidance, such as it was, it became a little more, quote unquote, serious. The central conceit notwithstanding, and the Universal was like, well, this is a Friedkin movie. Like, give us something like The Exorcist. We don't just want, like, a nanny who kidnaps children. Like, give us something supernatural. And so that's how you ended up with a movie about a tree nymph that steals babies.
Huh. Oh, so was the novel actually just like a Psycho?
I think
It wasn't
so.
supernatural?
I didn't bother to look into the novel because...
Look, I mean,
gives
Mazes
a
and
shit?
Monsters was based on a novel too. That isn't any like stamp of quality.
But this one, Friedkin apparently was pretty hands-on in making changes to the story to the point where he drove the screenwriter to a nervous breakdown. And this may pique Tim's interest for a few seconds. Guess who the screenwriter on this was? Stephen Volk, who wrote Ghostwatch, which we've covered on the show, and also
Excellent.
Gothic, which we covered on the show
Also good, yeah.
my friend Julie. And there are some possibly apocryphal stories about Volk meeting with a producer on the film, and the producer telling him like, "Oh yeah, it's this is great work, we love it." Meanwhile, in a glassed off room that Volk can see into, Friedkin is looking at the script and getting more and more enraged and tearing out pages from it while cursing. Probably
I hope
not
that like that's
exactly
happening.
true.
Yeah, I would love to
But-
see that with like Friedkin in the background, just like behind the guy's shoulder, while the
Yeah, like
producer's telling him this.
slightly out of focus.
Just
While these
tearing
guys
the
are just
room
having a
apart.
normal meeting, like so the the executive assistant is like bringing them Avion or whatever, and
Yeah.
Friedkin is slowly losing his shit in the background. But yeah, so
That would have been interesting. I would have liked to have watched that. But The Guardian
Nope.
from 1990.
So what was wrong with the script? Do we know? That Friedkin
Made
didn't
that
no
I'm
like
not
sense.
sure because, like I said, Friedkin wouldn't say. He wouldn't talk about it in his book.
William Friedkin.
And I guess I don't. Well, actually, I do know that Stephen Volk has talked about this movie because I think there's a featurette on the Blu-ray where he discusses it, but I didn't track that down because I had shit to do.
There's a Blu-ray of this? I can't even find a VHS of Grim Prairie Tales.
Well,
Oh, I watched that on VHS. That movie is a movie.
That movie, I love that movie so much, I wish it were better.
Yeah, that is kind of my feeling on it
Yeah.
as well.
I know what we should
it's
have
got
talked
so
about
much
in
going
this-
on.
Right,
for it, but-
yeah. I'm saying,
Well,
the wraparound has Brad Dourif and James Earl Jones. Like, what more do you need?
Well, a lot more apparently from what you're saying about the movie.
Well, for the wraparound, yeah. It's the other stories that need work.
yeah. Well, it's a movie that has it keeps your interest, which some movies don't.
Like this one.
Such as The Guardian.
Yeah, and
Well,
you know what? I've talked enough, Mike. Why don't you hold forth?
That's saying it.
so this movie basically is like it's a movie about a yuppie couple who hires a nanny to take care of their new baby, and it turns out that the nanny is a tree nymph who wants to put the baby in a tree, and they have to stop the nanny from putting the baby in the tree. So that's basically what it is.
Yeah, she's kind of an avant-garde sculptor in wood, because the scary tree has little baby faces sticking out of it.
Yeah, which is probably the best part of the whole movie is the baby faces on the tree. So it's like I saw that and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. It's kind of a neat look. It reminded me a little of the movie did remind me a little of Eyes of Fire, or even Company of Wolves, and kind of the vibe.
Yes.
I'll do you one better.
Yeah, except those movies.
You know what movie
Yeah?
that this reminded me of? Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah.
Because you've got these forest creatures, preserving children in wood, and there's a scary tree. So
Oh, and
That is
Yeah.
true.
by the way, may I recommend an earlier episode featuring Tim and Mike, and not me, but it's the two of them talking about Ernest
probably
Goes
our
to
best
Camp.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the X factor was that made it so good.
We were actually talking about, wasn't it Ernest? That was Ernest Goes to Camp, though, not Ernest Scared Stupid.
Right,
We were
yeah.
talking about
And I mean,
that
people will go to bat for Ernest Scared Stupid as just playing at the New Beverly. People really love Ernest Goes to Jail. They say that's like the pinnacle of his work. And I think Mike and I agreed that it's the direct-to-video ones where the quality, drops off sharply. But
Yeah. I would say definitely theatrical Ernest. It's Camp, then Jail, then Stupid, then Christmas, and then don't bother with any
I
other.
think
Don't
that's a
bother
fair
with
assessment.
Ernest
Anyway.
Goes to Africa.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Do not watch Ernest Goes to Africa because your memories of our sweet cinnamon bun Jim Varney will be forever tarnished.
It would be
But
funny to
The
show
Guardian.
that to like a Zoomer that you know.
Oh god, yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, Ernest is canceled."
You're a little late for that,
Well, I'm sorry to inform you that God canceled Ernest long before you
buddy.
did.
Oh, wow. You really didn't like that movie. Or she, I don't want to assume. Because, might be a wood nymph.
God saw Ernest
Yeah.
Goes to Africa and was like, "That's enough, Mr. Varney. You're done."
Oh, it's terrible.
Aw, I'm sad now because by all accounts, Jim Varney was actually like a pretty nice person.
Yes.
Well, The Guardian. The main problem. Well, this movie, it's basically like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. For all intents and
Yeah.
purposes.
Which came a couple years later.
I've never seen that movie, so I don't know if it's any good. But I would hope it's slightly more energetic than this
Yeah,
one.
it's more of a thriller. It's a lot more I don't know, say provocative. Rebecca
Yes.
De Mornay, that was what put her on the map. Yeah, it has less supernatural stuff. It's more of just a direct you know, motherly anxiety of like, if I let another woman raise my child, will they somehow turn out more like her than me?
Yeah, like I felt watching this movie, that was obviously the kind of anxiety that they were trying to go for, to really needle or poke at. But the whole movie, all I could think of is the real anxiety being explored is, what if I hired someone and they had a personal life outside of working for me? Because that's what it really feels like.
Yeah, that could be a real problem. I mean, people taking sick days. What's next?
Yeah, mass hysteria.
Yeah, and there is such a potentially
nannies
rich...
don't want to work anymore. There you go.
There is such a potentially rich thematic vein here that they just forgot to take advantage of in this movie. I don't know if it was because Friedkin just drove the screenwriter to the point of insanity. I don't know what Friedkin may have thought he was getting at when he or whoever tried to make this movie into the supernatural thriller that the studio wanted.
And we'll never know. He's hanging out with Jim Varney right now.
God was like, Billy Friedkin, you are canceled. I just saw the Boys in the Band, and I was so offended. But you could make so much hay out of this scenario, because even if you leave out the supernatural twist of the fact that the antagonist is a chick who lives in a tree, the anxiety that people have around childcare and letting other people look after their children. And I do want to ask you guys this question. Why is it always a nice, rich couple?
Who can afford a nanny?
Well, because who cares? Well, yeah. And also, like, who cares if a poor person's kid gets killed?
Yeah.
That's not a tragedy.
Yeah,
who gives a shit?
Yeah,
yeah. Because obviously the couple in this movie, played by Dwyer Brown and Carrie Lowell, they obviously have money. And then the previous couple that the sinister nanny worked for has fuck you money, because that looks like Bel Air or Beverly Hills or a similar address.
Right. Yeah, and I did appreciate the movie name-checking a lot of L.A. Like, it's like, oh, I've got a doctor's appointment in Westwood. It's like, oh, well, I got a place right here in Saltaire. Like, oh, that's fun. I know those names.
Yeah, I love when she's like, I'm going to stop at Diddy Reese real quick. Get a box of 25-cent cookies.
Although that does raise the question, where's the primeval old-growth forest in Pacific Palisades?
Thank you. Because the villain in this is played by Jenny Seagrove, a British actress. And the notion of a tree nymph or a hamadryad, as I believe the original Greek, it does seem to point to something ancient and primal, which is not something which comes to mind in Southern California.
I would say it's almost antithetical to Southern California.
Yeah, it's such a weird choice.
Yeah, the closest that we can get are like Ghosts of Hollywood and maybe like an Indian burial ground. I
mean, I don't think that I think the concept, if they'd leaned into that, probably could have borne a lot of fruit. The idea that, like, yeah, this is the last place where you would expect something ancient, because California is, the most recent state in a very recent country, and everything out here is so new and plastic and shiny. They kind of leaned into the idea of, like, there's this, this ancient horror bubbling underneath that's kind of trying to break through. It could have been really interesting, but they never really acknowledged that at all. It's just, yeah, there's a forest here with a big weird tree that looks like it's from a McDonald's play place.
Well, and I have to say that I'm sure the Chumash and any other indigenous peoples from this area are probably fucking grateful that they were not invoked in this movie.
Yeah, can you imagine?
The La Brea tar pits, they're like, no, keep us the fuck out of this shit.
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, they could have, said it's some sort of thing that predates mankind here, to sidestep that little
It's
question.
A dinosaur.
Or, because this is 1990, they probably could have just made up a tribe and people would be like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine.
It sounds
you know?
Indian. Yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, keep in mind, like, Ravenous is from this time period, and, like, yeah, their depiction of Native Americans is, like, all over the map.
You saying Ravenous isn't historically accurate?
Yeah, people were getting mad about it, online, and it's like, this movie's from the 90s. You couldn't Google stuff then.
Yeah, we just said,
cut them some slack.
You had to go to the library and check out a book, and if they didn't have it, then you just made something up.
Yeah, it's like you expect them to know that the Wendigo is not a California native myth. Well, come on.
Yeah,
they'd have to go and learn something.
The Wendigo thing is much farther north, but as it happens, we also talked about that movie. In fact, with Mike in a previous episode.
Well, that is folk horror.
Right, yeah, everything is.
Everything is folk horror. And
that's why you need a 3.5-hour documentary to cover it all.
Well, and this
which we also covered.
Well, sort of. I mean, we talked a little bit of shit, but we didn't really get into it because I still haven't watched that documentary.
I watched all of it.
When I see a runtime of 3 hours, I'm like, if this isn't fucking Lawrence of Arabia, I'm not fucking interested.
Yeah, did Scorsese make this documentary? No. Okay, well.
Yeah, fuck you, Marty.
No, I heard he's kind of a bro.
Oh yeah. Why does he?
I heard he's full of toxic masculinity.
Why does he hate popular things? What's his problem?
Yeah.
Why don't you just like popular movies like everyone else does? I thought you were a filmmaker, Marty.
I think it would be very funny if Martin Scorsese were to, in his next interview, just say like, you know what I really enjoy? I just really love that new Avengers movie. What a fun popcorn flick. I rescind all my previous comments.
He would be joining William Friedkin and Jim Varney soon enough if he'd gone out and said that. Here's a thought. Mike was talking about leaning into the whole Southern California thing. What if instead it was a Joshua tree or like a palm tree?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, that would be really good. Because I think if you had it as like, look, out in a desert in a single big weird Joshua tree, that would be fucking awesome. Yeah. That'd be a really cool thing.
Yeah, and what if the couple were the kind of assholes who go to Coachella? Like, that's in the area.
Yeah. You know what? That would be really good as well, because that would kind of indicate why are they being targeted? Because they disturbed the tree with their asshole Coachella stuff.
Yeah, or they're Burning Man people or something. Even worse.
Instead, we get these two yuppies who, I mean, really don't have any personalities or anything.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, they forgot to give. They sort of, kind of give Dwyer Brown's character a profession. He's some kind of ad guy, and Carrie Lowell does something with. She knows something about like architecture, but she has even less of a personality. And this is the kind of writing of female characters that I think people still extrapolate to a lot of stuff today, because it did tend to be the case in a lot of mainstream films that it was like, what? Like the character, she's a wife. That's the character. Much
an
less so
architect
now.
and an ad executive. Oof. That is like that is just like the default when you're trying to come up with like a white person who has free time.
Oh,
and money.
And did you notice Miguel Ferrer, or did he slip past your noticing like he did for me the first time I watched it?
That is probably, I should just Google Roger Ebert's review, because that was the biggest sin of the movie. They used Miguel Ferrer in one scene.
Actually, two.
He's one of the asshole executives from RoboCop.
Oh shit! Was that like what's his name? The guy who gets blown up by Clarence? Yeah. Oh, I knew he looked familiar.
War, it's fantastic.
Oh my God, yeah.
From Hot Shots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And he he's there.
Yeah, and you see his name in the opening credits, and you're like, oh great, Miguel Ferrer. I hope he does something really sardonic.
I hope that he's like a big prick, and then the wood nymph kills him, and you're like, well, I can see how she's dangerous, but he's an asshole anyway, and we can move on with the movie.
Right. But no, he's in the meeting at the beginning of the movie where Dwyer Brown goes to his job interview, I guess.
Right.
And I didn't notice him the first time I saw the movie. I only noticed him later in the movie when he goes to their house and coos over their baby.
Yeah, I feel like this is a movie. Okay, so this is a movie about kind of obviously parental anxieties about letting someone into your house and into your perfect
Mm-hmm.
family. So there should be far less about the jobs and far more about the relationship between the husband and
Yeah,
wife.
like I don't even know
Because
why they. I'm sorry to interrupt, Mike, but
You want
I
to
don't
write
even know.
characters now?
Well, I'm not sure why we have to see this couple moving to LA and then conceiving their child and giving birth to their child because they don't do anything with those scenes. They don't really tell us much that's relevant about these characters.
Yeah, how else would you know that there's a baby if you don't see her giving birth?
yeah, you have to be like, because if they just show up with a baby, like, where'd that baby
Yeah.
come from? Where's that baby from? I need to
Did
know.
they
Came out of
steal
a
it
cabin.
That they
from
show
a
her
wood
pregnant.
nymph? Is that what happened? Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, and then if they just showed her pregnant, I'd be like, how'd she get pregnant? How did the baby get in tummy? I need to know.
How was
get
Babby
pregnant.
So
made?
they have to,
Yeah.
yeah, they have to start at the beginning.
How did these
But,
two meet?
You know, the thing is, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't show that, honestly, because boy,
Wait, didn't
the
they?
thing
They
is,
did
like,
mention
a
that
movie
though.
like,
They even talked about when
Oh,
they
they
met.
did?
Yeah, it's like, was he a virgin? You're like, oh, I never said.
yeah, they never bring that up again.
God, and you know
God.
That doesn't-
what a thing to leave hanging, you know?
Yeah.
I really need to know if that guy hadn't fucked before he met Carrie Lowell.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the thing is, a movie like this, it really needs a lot more. Yeah, like usually if you do this sort of movie, it would be a couple who's having marital difficulties to begin with, you know, and then this woman comes in, this nanny comes in, and there's that added sexual tension of like, oh no, what if there's a hot sexually aggressive woman in my house? What if she wants to fuck my husband? And that they bring that up because he has a dream where he's fucking her, and then never again. It never comes up again. It never really feels like a thing that is actually an issue, because the only thing that happens is he wakes up and he's slightly standoffish to the nanny after that dream.
Yeah.
And then it's just
It's
dropped.
imagined once.
And his wife gets along really well with her. And in fact, tries to defend her when he's figured out that she's up to something. And
Which
he's.
comes pretty much from out of nowhere. Like, she just had
Yeah.
to be in the scene as an antagonist to his point of view. Like that, she exists as a plot device.
Yeah. Just like a woman
yeah,
ought to.
she doesn't
Right, yeah.
yeah, she does not do a whole lot. But yeah, it's funny because like watching this, I could kind of see like, you know, the contours of where a normal horror movie would go. You know, because like you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like usually you can watch a movie and it's very by the numbers, but the reason it's by the numbers is because that works. Like it's a tried and true formula. If you have a couple with marital difficulties, you know, oh, things are they're going to be tested, and it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a threat, and that's foreshadowing what the threat is going to be, and then you get more invested in them because you want to see them, in theory, overcome this threat. But instead, it's just like, things are great. Oh, there's a nanny here. Oh, I had a dream. Never mind. Oh, now a woman called me on the phone and said that she's bad. So, you know, that's basically
Can I
it.
just point out, and this is one of those
Yeah,
little.
she's not a real feminist, doesn't support other women in kidnapping babies.
You have to support her even if she is a tree nymph.
Right.
Tim mentioned the nice little Southern California details in this, one of which is that when the woman calls the house to warn him that his nanny is dangerous, she gives him a phone number with an 805 area code,
Gross.
which made my head snap around because I was like, wait a minute, because I grew up with an 805 area code phone number in Ventura County. I think this movie was shot like near Six Flags, like Valencia, Indian Dunes, that kind of area, which is close to LA, but you know, a little bit removed.
It's not really LA though, is it?
Nah. I mean, if where I live is a
SoCal.
suburb of LA, it's like 40 minutes away. So yeah.
Yeah, no.
But this is the thing. Like I mentioned earlier, when he goes to the woman's house, I'm sorry, that is like Bel Air or Beverly Hills. That's not 805.
Oh, well, he just drove 2 hours to get there.
But, you know, like, it's LA. Like, you know, if you're going from, like, friggin', like, you're going from the west side to, like, Echo Park, it's going to take you 2 hours anyway.
That's what I'm
From
saying.
the west side to the east side. I love LA.
You know, the one thing I can never figure out about LA, though, all the damn tree nymphs.
So I have to say, I feel like our tree nymph in this, Camilla.
Yeah.
Yes.
Camilla did nothing wrong.
See?
Honestly, like, I do not like, I mean, I don't really care that much about this yuppie couple. They're just kind of bland. Camilla is, you know, she's like, oh yeah, she steals babies because she wants to put them in a tree. Presumably, like, she needs to do that for a reason, like, like, to save the tree. Actually, it's never brought up, is it? Why she's doing
she
it?
keeps saying
really
that she
like
needs
the
him.
blood, yeah.
Yeah, before the blood changes, and it has something to do with it being breastfed by the mother. Interesting thing here is when the nice rich white couple are interviewing potential nannies, one of the women they interview says, oh, well, you plan to breastfeed for at least 6 months, don't you? And then Carrie Lowell's response is, oh, well, you know, our pediatrician said 4 months is enough. Which...
No, 6 years.
Yeah, like, I don't know that that's the case today, but I don't have kids, so who the fuck knows? Write in, info@haveyouseen.us. Tell us about your breastfeeding.
Right. Now, what I think would have made for a more interesting movie if they had gone with the nanny that looks like Robin Williams in drag. A lot of comedic potential there.
And then if they had thrown a party at the house and played House of Pain, and then Pierce Brosnan was there.
Yeah, or maybe if he had led like a mime class. Yeah.
You know, I just realized, because part of the reason that this movie is kind of dull, besides the fact that, you know, our main characters are completely forgettable and it's filmed very slowly, is there's this supernatural thing, but they never really explore it. Because in a typical horror movie like this, there would be a point where the husband like gets suspicious, and he goes to the local university and talks to professor of triology.
Yeah, we're supposed to have an info dump at some point of like all this arcana.
He could have gone to UCLA.
Exactly.
They got like a...
It's right in Westwood. You just take the 405 southbound to Wilshire, and then...
Yeah.
You get a sandwich at Buck Fitty. Rest in peace.
Oh, damn, Buck Fitty.
Yeah. We got 3 Bruins here, folks.
Oof. That's why we're all talking about movies rather than making them.
Wah, wah.
I feel like there should be also a bit where he goes to a library and he goes through the microfiche and finds all these, you know, there's a string of baby disappearances. You know what I mean?
Library.
Like, you kind of tease that sort of thing.
Yeah, and Powell's got a great look to it too.
Yeah, I worked there, you know.
I believe it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
and like he even has, you know, finds like a woodcut engraving of like a tree nymph that looks just like the nanny, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
I think that the problem is Friedkin tore out so many pages of the original script that he was just coming up with stuff like on the day, and that's why everything is so like just ephemeral. Like he didn't remember to put in characters after he tore out the original ones.
Friedkin was like, shit, I really regret my outburst of rage in the production office. Well, nothing to do now. We got those wolves.
But another thing about that, though, is like, you know, there should be, like the bit where he like goes to the library. There should be a bit talking to professor. You know, all that stuff where you get the info dump. But I also feel like it should start because the nanny does something suspicious, and then he starts getting suspicious, but his wife still likes her, so that starts the conflict there, right? It's like she's coming between them. But instead, everything is fine. They love the nanny. Everything is great until they get that random phone call, like 2/3 of the way through the movie, from that other woman who has off-screen done all the work of connecting the dots, while our main characters sit around with their thumbs up their asses.
Well, yeah,
you
drawing architectural plans and making ad copy. Yeah.
Listening to KCRW.
Oh yeah, be sure to
Oh
donate.
yeah, she's the. I like how they have that sexy DJ from The Mist or the Fog is on the radio here.
Now, actually, Mike, and this is another bit of Southern California trivia. This is a real KCRW DJ, Deirdre O'Donoghue, who had a show that was well regarded on KCRW 89.9, and also hosted on the weekends a show which I and my best friend from my hometown used to listen to, Breakfast with the Beatles.
Oh, what? The Beatles?
Yeah, Deirdre O'Donoghue. And I believe
Were they
that
popular?
she... Huh?
Were they popular?
No. They're really
No.
obscure. You probably haven't heard of them. But,
No.
They never got as big as the Zombies.
Oh,
but
man.
yeah, Deirdre O'Donoghue was kind of a beloved radio presence and actually died like fairly young, I think in her early 50s back in 2001.
Oh, jeez.
And there was nobody ever reported like the cause of death, which is strange. Like I actually tried to find that out because that's what I do when I hear that someone's dead. I want to know how they died, but to this day we don't know.
Oh, died under mysterious circumstances. Perhaps there's
Maybe,
a tree somewhere in Vets Park that has a KCRW host face in it.
Maybe she was beaten to death in a psychotic rage by William Friedkin.
Maybe someone ran a car into her outside of the queues. Right on Wilshire.
Ooh, we should talk about Eric Red on the show.
Sure, go for it.
Cause anyway, remember when we lived right off Wilshire Boulevard?
Yeah, I've seen so many car accidents then.
Fun stuff. But anyway, California.
Let's see. Guardian, Wood Nymph, Giant Tree, Poltergeist.
What if she
Risky or
had-
Stupid
what if-
did that.
What if she were a California nymph that like came down from a palm tree?
Yeah, and
I
she
mean,
has like a fake
that-
British
that would-
accent like people in like Venice Beach have. Like I
Wish they all could be California nymphs.
Oh,
because I
and
remember
then,
a girl in college who like she was like studying to be a masseuse, and she had like that fake English accent like Madonna has. So that's a Southern California thing. They could have added that into it.
Yeah, and then for the info dump, he doesn't go to a professor. He talks to his tree guy.
Oh my god! You know
And the
what?
guy's
I
like,
feel
"Oh
like
yeah,
they're-
you have a hamadryad. We get those all the time."
Man, I feel like we're like doing the movie doctors thing here because like the movie would be so much better if they just followed some of this advice.
You know,
Maybe
and I
if
think
Raimi had
they would have
actually
gotten that
done
with
the
Sam
movie, it would have
Raimi,
been more
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
that seems like it's
Yeah.
much more in his wheelhouse.
So there's also I would like to talk a little about this fucking asshole Runcie.
Oh,
Ed Runcie, whatever his
the guy
name
who
is.
built the nice rich white couple's house, who played
so
by Brad Hall, who was on SNL in like 1982.
Oh,
Yeah, like I was like, sure.
that would that's
And he is in fact married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Huh.
so he's the sort of like inoffensive ginger who's in a couple of scenes and then dies, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I fucking hate this guy so much. He's so fucking annoying. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, so wait a minute. He built the house? Is he a construction guy? An architect? An interior design? What is he? I can't tell what he actually is.
I
He's
think
a
he's an
dork.
architect.
Well, same.
Yeah, he is a dork.
Yeah.
And he gets interested in the nymph and wants to bone her, and he's just like, oh my god, it's one of those. He's just so fucking like obvious about it, but like, but in that like, oh golly shucks, I'm a nice guy. Oh, fuck.
Well,
Yeah,
his
totally
biggest
cringy.
mistake is following her into the woods.
Yeah, what does he expect? What does he expect is going to happen? Oh, I'll follow her into the woods. Why? What are you gonna do, man? What's your plan here? Hmm. What's that all about?
My problem with it
But
is the same problem that Mike had about the woman from earlier in the movie who lost her baby showing up, having done all the research. Is that we're seeing all things happen to peripheral characters. Meanwhile,
yeah,
like none of this is engaging with like the central players in this. It's like we're watching just a forgettable dork get chased through the woods by some dogs, and like, is this our story? Like, this is the thing that we chose to focus on?
he is. I like when he shows up because he wants to like take what's her name, Camilla, out on a date. He's like, oh yeah, there's a band playing. I thought she'd be interested in going with me. Oh sure. Is she expecting you? No. What, dude? This is a terrible. He's like, this is not how you do
work,
it.
yeah.
And then he's like, well. Yeah, it's like, and when the girl is like, well, she left already. He's like, oh, well, here, take these flowers, and it's just like, oh God, man,
Wah, wah.
Pathetic.
Look for Mike's upcoming piece in Jezebel.
I'm just saying, it's like if that was me, if I walked in and Camilla's not there, I'd just be like, oh okay, and I'd leave, and I would not be like, no, I'm not be too, whatever the character's name is, the wife. Be like, no, take this bouquet of flowers. So that I can really show you how pathetic I am. So you know now that I was coming here with the intent of like trying to get like Camille to go out with me, but I failed, and now I'm throwing a little fucking hissy fit about it and you have to feel sorry for me now. Take the flowers. It's like, and she's like, no, go get her. She'll be fine. It's like, oh, this guy's just fishing for it. It's so fucking pathetic.
I'd really hate to see this guy get killed in 2 scenes from now.
I mean, that's the thing is like, this guy, I'm sorry, he follows her into the woods, which first of all, kind of, major creeper right there. He sees her bathing naked and then sit on a tree and a bunch of wolves come around. And so he's like, oh no, I gotta run away. So he runs away for some dumbass reason, doesn't just run back the way he came, but instead climbs a barbed wire fence. And then goes back into his house and doesn't. And how does this guy not know? He doesn't close the fucking door? Oh, I would go close the door. It's like, the wolves are after me. They don't have hands. If you kept the door closed, he calls the fucking cops. Like, oh, they're coyotes. Send someone. Just what the fuck?
It is very funny to live in Southern California and call emergency services and be like, oh, there are coyotes in my yard. It's like, oh, word? Are there raccoons too? And skunks?
Yeah, see, I would have believed him being chased by raccoons. Like, that would have made a lot more sense. Like, if you have a Joshua Tree and like a raccoon familiar, now we're starting to feel more like Southern California. Your ass up. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that would be that's way better. Because I mean, if you call the cops and like, there's coyotes here, it's like, okay, sir, take a wooden spoon and a pan and walk outside and bang them together. You'll be fine.
You'll be. Not to worry, sir. We're sending a roadrunner right now.
The hero of the movie.
I just think it's funny that the cops just hang up on him.
Well, LAPD.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the LAPD had showed up, they just would have beaten him to death before the wolves got him.
Right.
I mean,
they would have looked around and be like, I don't see any animals here, and be like, yeah, I don't either. And be like, okay, well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and then he'll get killed by wolves.
Well, if the LAPD showed up, they would, if they saw the wolves, they would only kill them if they assumed that they belonged to the guy.
Right? Yeah.
Because they do love killing dogs.
Oh yeah, they love to shoot dogs. If there's something that cops love, it's shooting dogs.
Yeah.
And now I had mentioned earlier the movie not holding my attention for the first 20 minutes. That continues on for the next 25 minutes. So I took a break, did some laundry, watched another couple of movies, took a nap, came back and resumed the tense scene of our ginger architect being menaced by wolves. And there's a scene of him acting opposite the prop phone when he's calling the police, and there are dogs running around in the back. There's no atmospheric sound, there's no music, and I can just think what a thankless shoot that must have been for this actor trying to convey dread and tension when there's just none to be there. It is a boring ass 30-somethings quality scene that is supposed to be the first time something major, threatening, and bloody happens in this movie.
I'll say this, Brad Hall does do fine work as a man being hounded to his death by wolves. The wolves are fine too. They're good doggies. But yeah, there's no, especially when you consider The Exorcist.
Yeah,
he's
got
best regarded
he's got a
horror films of all
landline
time
phone to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, does not stint on mood. Like, from the very opening of The Exorcist, like, the mood is terrifying. Like, the statue of Pazuzu, like, everything is just like, oh God, like, where is this going? Nowhere good.
Yeah, it's really ominous.
Yeah, exactly. But, I gotta say, you guys, talking about this movie has made me a little thirsty.
Oh. Well.
Thirsty, you say? Perhaps if only there was some sort of liquid refreshment that you could consume.
Now, no one...
But where could one get such a thing?
No one likes drinking water more than trees. But you, sir, are no tree. You're a person, and for that, you deserve something more.
Yeah, and hydration isn't just for trees. It's for you and me. And if you want to be free to be, you and me, do it with Liquid IV.
See, now that's a better improv than anything that, Friedkin or the cast are coming up with on the shoot of The Guardian.
That's true. We don't have wolves, but we do have ad copy.
Yeah, and the nymph is eating babies to maintain her youthfulness, but you and me, being real flesh and blood people, we don't need to go that far. We just need water with a little extra something something.
That's right, because proper functional hydration is essential, and Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine.
I dare you to mention another hydration multiplier. You can't think of one.
You know what? I really, really can't.
See?
So it's going to have to be Liquid IV. With just one stick...
Liquid IV. It's Liquid IV or nothing.
With just one stick, you can hydrate 2 times faster than with water alone. Plus you get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes that you get in the leading sports drinks.
So when you're walking in LA, as people are often known to do, not just weird, creepy nannies with unnerving British accents, you're going to be super hydrated for when you arrive somewhere in Westwood to get cookies or go to a movie theater with a bunch of college students.
That's right. When I grit my teeth and go to Westwood, I always make sure to bring along a jug with some Liquid IV in it. And I have so many flavors to choose from. We got sea berry, we got strawberry lemonade, we got Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, acai berry. There are probably more, but they're not on this list, so why don't you go to the website and find out?
Jen, you're bearing the lead.
I am especially interested in that pina colada. That sounds interesting to me.
I like those and getting caught in the rain. R.I.P.
Do you like pina colada and sucking dick 'cause you're gay?
Is that a rhetorical question or asking me?
Do you like making love at midnight in a men's room off the 5?
I have a question about Liquid IV, though.
Okay.
Please.
So you already mentioned that one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. And that I think I'm sold just on that. But I'm curious if it contains any essential vitamins.
I'm way ahead of you, Mike. It's got 5 essential vitamins. It's got all the B's. It's got all the B's that you'd care about. 3, 5, 6, 12. And, just as an extra for you, they throw in vitamin C for nothing extra.
Damn.
Yeah.
I can't even think of any other vitamins.
Right, yeah. You wouldn't want any other vitamins.
You know what, Tim? Vitamin C, I megadose that, and it cures my common cold in minutes.
Perfect for credulous actors, yes.
Minutes. Mm-hmm. And, on top of all those helpful letters, it's also got, like I said, 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. And it's free from gluten, dairy, and soy, unless you want to put any of those things in your water.
I do not recommend. No. Sometimes I just like to add a little splash of milk to my water.
This water needs some body. I like to go with heavy cream myself.
Yeah. I dip it in bread and then eat the soggy bread. I'm like a pigeon.
Yeah, I like pairing the lemon lime liquid IV with some half and half.
Mm-hmm.
It's really refreshing.
Right, yeah. It's aqua fresca, which you can also get in LA.
But I know that we've hammered on this pretty hard, but come on, folks, try it out.
But I mean, it was that or talk about The Guardian, and I think our choice is clear.
That's true. And forget The Guardian. I don't even know if it's streaming. Who cares? But you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code HYSTPOD, HistPod, at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code HYSTPOD at liquidiv.com.
We have nothing for you if you watch Guardian, though. Like, if you choose to rent that on streaming, that's your own fault. We cannot help you there.
Yeah, bad choice. You should go to liquidiv.com instead.
Wait, what's that promo code again? I forgot.
HYSTPOD.
You're killing me, Mike. She's already told you 3 times. HYSTPOD at liquidiv.com.
Yeah, 20% off, people.
Yeah, there's a hyphen in the name.
I'm just excited for real people, real flavor, and real hydrating.
God, I am too. And by the way, there's a hyphen in the URL, and you're never going to guess where it is.
You said it, and then I scrolled up, and I was like, holy shit, he's right. That is so funny. Liquid-IV.com.
Look, the alternative is drinking breast milk from a British nanny.
Ooh.
And that's going to be a lot more difficult. Like, you're going to have problems with your wife. Someone's going to emerge from her past to say all of her references are made up or dead. You're going to end up just a face in a tree. So play it safe, survive, and drink Liquid IV.
That's right. Oh, and by the way, there, Tim, it's a redirect if you type in liquidiv.com.
I figured.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
I think this movie really it's really a warning about the importance of checking references if you think about it, because apparently if they had bothered to call a single reference, this entire shenanigans could have been avoided.
Right, and after the husband like flips out and goes all apeshit against the nanny, is like, you're fired. It's like she's probably being paid under the table. She doesn't have any like recourse. Like, this is the US where it's just like, we hire undocumented nannies left and right. Like, it's a cornerstone of our economy is, an underpaid underclass of immigrant slave labor. Of course she gets fired. Like, you just kick her out and put her on the street and you're done. There's not an issue here.
No, but I like how he has to throw her against the bed before he does that. And just start tossing her like clothing around.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to fire her. He has to get violent about it.
Yeah, because not only does he, like, throw her down, like, later in the hospital, and admittedly it is when she is trying to kidnap their baby, he just smacks her right in the fucking face.
That was great. I thought that was hilarious.
That is a great scene, but especially because when I saw it for a split second, I thought that he just, like, decked her in the face with the baby.
You love to see it.
Like, he just... Yeah,
Psych!
Because he did have the baby at that point.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was just smacking her with the baby. But when he first confronted her, that whole scene was like, okay, I don't want to be cinema sins and like, oh, well, I hope that's a plot hole. But it was very obvious to me, like, okay, dude, you immediately escalated this into like shouting and screaming and like potential violence. Perhaps before you do that, you should go up to your nanny when she doesn't expect anything and say, hey, why don't you hand me that baby? Hand me the baby that you're holding. Yeah, just let me hold it for a second. Okay, now that I'm holding the baby, now I'm going to like...
punch you in the face, yeah.
Ask you. Yeah. It's like, I feel like, why wouldn't she just be like, I put a gun to the baby's head, now do what I say,
Yeah, and there is a little bit of a...
Or hit him with the baby.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gun to a baby's head, where it's like, after they fire her, then the baby gets sick for, like, no reason, and whatever.
It probably has to do with the titty milk or the blood or the juices or whatever.
Yeah,
was it drinking the nanny's titty milk? Was she breastfeeding the baby?
I mean,
that's what I thought was going to happen.
They do that directly in Hand That Rocks a Cradle. It's one of the more memorable moments from that movie. Because it's like, oh, she's just having a baby sucking on her tit because she gets off on it, the weirdo.
Well, and I think this is a common point of anxiety, because if you read the Am I the Asshole subreddit as much as I do, you will notice that these stories will periodically crop up, because we know that 80% of those posts are fake. But one conceit is the idea of an unhinged friend or relative who's got baby rabies, like just breastfeeding your baby. And if you think about it, now I'm not exactly maternal, but I can understand why that would be a tremendous violation to a mother.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I made this kid. I own it.
I think, yeah, that is really another problem with this movie is I feel like this nanny is not transgressing as many boundaries as she should, because literally the only thing that she does wrong before being exposed is that the husband has a sex dream about her. But she's very professional the whole time, so it's like...
Although maybe a little forward having a bath with the baby and they're both naked as.
Oh my God, the baby saw her titties.
I mean, yeah.
Like right up close.
Lucky us, baby.
The husband seems pretty... I don't know, like, I feel like that scene, he should have been something, but like, he's so blasé about it. This movie is extremely not horny.
Yeah.
Which is really really kind of, I think, one of the reasons it just it feels like a slog.
You think when the baby was like in the bathtub with the nanny and sees her snatch and it's like, hey, I used to live in one of those.
Boy, I miss it.
My old place.
I really feel like
it's really cold here.
It's so cramped.
They really needed to get an actress for the nanny who oozed sex a little more.
There's
like
Rebecca
Jenny
De Mornay,
Seagrove is fine, but she's no Rebecca De Mornay. Let's put it that way.
Like I do think. Oh, but it is very funny when finally the husband, whose name I still can't remember, decides to investigate. And he's talking to, like, what's her name, the rich woman who got her baby taken in the beginning, and he's getting her to describe the nanny, and she's like, she had an accent, like a European accent. Really? Maybe English. Maybe English. Only the most distinctive of the European accents. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because the way that she said, and I understand, like, not being able to place British accents, like, within the aisles, like...
Right, yeah.
The average person is not going to be like, oh, yeah, that person...
More Scouse?
Yeah, that person sounded like they were from Lancashire or something. But people usually can place a British accent.
Yeah, at worst they'll miss and hit Australia, but...
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe the reason that Diana/Camilla was able to steal the baby is because these people were so dumb.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are a couple of yuppies in LA.
The woman,
I think it's understood they're dumb.
And considering the wife was like, "Oh, I forgot my glasses. We have to go back." You forgot your glasses? How do you do that? You wear them on your face all the time. I mean, seriously.
What a stupid hole.
Yeah, I can see why she needed someone else to raise her damn baby.
Well, where are we in the movie?
We're almost
the baby's sick.
Through with it.
Then
the baby gets better. He drills her in the face.
Then he has the baby and they're running with the baby, and I think they're trying to get to the tree for some reason.
No, they're just trying to get the baby away from her, but then the guy takes the initiative to cut down the tree, which, I mean, don't tell Reddit, because everyone there is an expert on tree law. So if it's not on his property...
r/tree law. And I don't know how they really missed the opportunity to sort of explicate her scary tree nymph powers, because there is a point where she's, like, pursuing them, like, from the air, which... I'll give Friedkin that. That is kind of a scary shot, just because it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that is the one good shot.
And Carrie
in the
Lowell
movie.
gets to drive a Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
She's menaced by vicious doggies. Mm-hmm. And her husband absconds with the baby. And Carrie Lowell is able to mash Camilla with the Jeep.
Yeah, and then they do the absolute dumbest thing I've ever seen in a movie, which is they go to the cops and they're like, confess to a murder.
We killed a woman.
Yeah, and they're like, but it's okay because she was flying. She was a flying tree nymph, so it's okay that we killed her. And the cops are like, yeah, we didn't find the body, so, I guess you're free to go. And they're just arguing with the cops. Like, no, we killed her. We did a murder. It's like, what do you want?
I don't know what they're trying to get out of that.
Here?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's like, oh, because if I was there, again, cinema sins, let me ding them on this. I'd be like, oh, I just murdered someone. Maybe I shouldn't tell anyone. And also, if she's a fucking tree nymph, she probably doesn't actually exist.
Right, it's not like she has like a social
records.
Security number.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, and that's the point that is eventually made, is the police lieutenant or whoever they're talking to is like, well, there's no record of this woman you're talking about. And they don't take the opportunity to be like, oh, you know what? We are sleep deprived and insane. We're sorry. We didn't actually kill a woman. And the thing is, like, I don't know what they, like, do they expect the cops to go to the tree, find her corpse, and then say, like, okay, you're under arrest. Hand over your baby, and we're going to put you in prison.
They're going to give it to a nanny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently, the cops do see that the tree has baby faces on it. They just think that they're carvings. Which is a pretty reasonable thing to think if you found a tree with baby faces on it.
That's true. I would assume that it was, either a carving, some kind of art installation or something. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, there are human infants in that tree that are trapped.
Yeah, or, it's just like...
I gotta say, this cop that they meet, the world's smartest cop, he sees like carvings on a baby faces on a tree and reaches a logical conclusion instead of immediately being like, it's a ghost.
It's a haunted tree, yeah.
Because my old job, we had a cop, and he was like, Slender Man is real. It's like, okay. So cops, not very bright.
Yeah, I was going to say world's smartest cop, so like what, like a solid 85 IQ?
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah. But, well, I thought he would just be like, oh yeah, it's that, famous tourist attraction, the baby face tree. Like, how did you guys not know about that? It's like that, like, ballerina clown in Venice. That, like, hideous
it's
giant
like something
sculpture.
You'd see in Atlas Obscura.
Right, yeah, it's like...
That would actually be... That would be brilliant, because it would be so incredibly SoCal.
Yeah, it's the baby face tree. You go, take a selfie for the grams. me with my 2010 ass lingo.
Well, Tim, you still got Riz.
Oh, I do.
But do you have drip?
I bring it to the show every episode.
Well, the reason he's able to drip so much is because of Liquid IV.
Right, yeah. This show had no juice, but then we megadosed Liquid IV, and now we got it.
Yeah.
LiquidIV.com.
With 5 essential vitamins.
Yeah. 4 essential vitamins and another one that is like a friend of theirs.
But it does have 3 times the electrolytes
of
leading sports drinks.
Yeah. We glossed over it briefly, but yeah, I have to agree with Jen that one shot of the backlit wood nymph flying through the trees is a genuinely creepy shot. The rest of the movie doesn't support it, though.
No. Yeah, and can I just say that I'm a little slightly disappointed that there aren't more like tree nymph powers, because for the most part the tree does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Oh man, that guy built a house out of a tree. What a monster.
That's why the tree was mad.
Right.
But earlier in the movie she's
menaced by a middle-aged gang of 3 white guys.
Yeah, a motley gang. Yeah, and this is a very hilarious gang, as gangs often are in these kinds of bad movies, because one of them looks like Jonah Hill when he got skinny. Mm-hmm. Another one looks like he thinks he's like Greaser Willem Dafoe, and he carries like a big buck knife, because that's the thing that greasers do. And the other guy kind of looks like the friend from American Movie, the one who acts like he maybe like huffed too much gasoline.
Oh, Mike.
But is just kind of like good-natured. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he recently passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah. But so you have this ragtag group of men who want to just like assault the nanny.
Yeah, up here, I guess they're just stalking the forest of Ventura. Like, just looking for easy prey.
They're just wandering through wildwood.
Yeah.
They're like, we were doing some bird watching, and, we saw some, it was cool. We saw some cactus wrens and some white-crowned sparrows. But then we saw this hot bitch with a baby, and we were like, oh shit, like we haven't raped all day.
Yeah,
So.
I want to tease her like we're in high school and not 3 grown adults.
Right, and I'll give the movie this. It does lead to one of the only good or interesting scenes, which is 3 guys getting just murdered by a fucking tree.
Yeah, I would watch the movie for that, but nothing else.
Yeah, like it is kind of cool that like I think like one limb like smacks a guy and just like blasts his head off. Another guy gets impaled by a root that comes up from the ground. It's really gruesome, and I'm like, okay, hell yeah, like gore, and that's about it.
Yeah, guys getting like entangled and like strangled by giant tree roots, and the practical effects are decent enough. It's a the tree is a little goofy looking, but yeah, and then there are other parts too where like she goes to like regenerate or whatever because she gets stabbed or something at some point, and she's like hanging out with the tree, and the tree's all like creeping on her with like its branches all like fondling her, which that's neat.
Well, they're fluid bonded,
right? Yeah, well, sap bonded.
They both have xylem and phloem. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then
do you know much about nymphs, Mike?
I know not to trust them.
Certainly not with your baby.
Right.
I mean, technically, this thing is a dryad, but
Yeah, and the
basic.
movie mentions druids right up front, which seems kind of unfair to me because I'm like, come on, like druids don't have shit to do with this movie.
Well, the movie, I don't think it ever says what she is or anything. We don't have any like we don't get the info dump or anything. It's just there's a woman who lives in a tree and she needs a baby for reasons, but
crazy
never
homeless
went to Powell
person.
Library.
Yeah.
Never even went to the YRL.
Yeah.
Or was it the URL back then?
Oh, I think it was still I think it was a YRL, if I remember right.
Young Research Library.
Yeah.
When did it? Was it the URL first or was it the YRL first? I don't remember.
Oh, I actually don't remember.
Didn't go to the Hammer
It's
Museum.
been a very long time.
Didn't go to the New Art.
Yeah. Well, we all went to school 50 years ago, so
yeah,
our minds are dim and cobwebbed.
Yeah, that's back when tuition was only in the tens of thousands.
Yeah, I remember being in college at UCLA and like gonna go get lunch at the Bell. That's what we call Taco Bell. There was an on-campus Taco Bell.
Oh, it wasn't the Loke?
No.
That's the El Pollo Loco.
I liked how the squirrels around there were fat as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they're eating student food.
Yeah.
Hottest squirrels. Remember the cooperage? You could get a cooperoni or a cooperoni.
Oh yeah. Shit. I feel like I know somebody who got like really sick from the cooperage.
It was probably my wife.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Since she worked there and everything.
Right. Probably the only one who washed her hands regularly.
I think she actually mentioned that.
So she had no immunity. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well.
Did anyone pay $200 for a textbook there?
Oh, I never bought textbooks.
Smart.
Yeah.
If you just go to class.
That's the only true test of college.
Yeah. Just saying, you go to class, you don't need to do the reading. They usually don't. They usually just base the test on the lectures.
Yeah, they tell you everything.
This has been Bruin Talk, sponsored by BJ's Brewery and Liquid IV.
Yeah. Lie to them about it being your birthday and get a free Pizookie.
And while in Westwood, turn around and leave immediately because Westwood fucking sucks.
Yeah, get the fuck out of that place. It's cursed. Yeah.
But where were we with the Guardian?
Well,
I don't know. I'd say you could cut me out of that and just like end with saying Westwood sucks.
Did anybody notice that not only does the lead actor in this, Dwyer Brown, look like Bruce Campbell's little brother, he also wears a blue shirt and brown pants and takes a chainsaw to something and gets covered in blood.
I think Sam Raimi probably would have been, a better choice.
Yeah.
I would agree. That scene probably would have hit a lot better in a Sam Raimi joint.
This movie would have at least have been funny instead of just dull.
Thanks a lot, William Friedkin.
Yeah, and you know what? He escaped justice. He's dead.